Hi and welcome to my community. I'm Vera, I'm the founder of Via Vera and the sewing community. I started this community to find new sewing besties who want to get creative and create their own style by making their own clothes and accessories. If you're new to sewing, so you have zero experience, this series is for you because I will take you through the whole process of never touching a machine before to finishing your first piece. So let's go. The most important thing you'll need is a sewing machine, and I would recommend you to ask in your surrounding if any aunt or your grandma or anyone has a sewing machine they don't use anymore or not as much, and you can practice with that one. After that, you can buy your own sewing machine, and I listed 3 sewing machines in the description that have all the functions you need to get started with sewing. Make sure to check them out if you're ready to buy your sewing machine. Besides that, you will need some tools. You need a fabric scissors. This is not your home scissors. You have to invest in a fabric scissors because that cuts the fabric way easier. Besides that, you need some pins, you need measuring tape, fabric, you will need some thread, you need some chalk to mark everything. And basically that's it. Just those 5 tools plus the sewing machines to get started.
Next, we are threading the machine. I will explain it using my machine because most parts are general, but please read your machine manual the first few times you are using your specific machine. Your machine has a top and a bottom thread. For the bottom, you use a bobbin. To thread the bobbin, place it on the instructed point. For me, it's here at the top. Get the yarn of choice and place it on the spool pin. Follow the instructions as guided on the machine or in the manual. Follow all the arrows carefully. If you miss a step or go the wrong direction, it might not work. When you did all the threading, go a few times with the yarn around the bobbin to secure the thread. Click the bobbin to the right and then press your presser foot and the bobbin will start turning. Stop when you have the amount of thread you will need for your project. Click the bobbin back to the left and leave the bobbin for now. Cut off the thread and do the last few steps. Step 1 and 2 are the same for the bottom thread. After that, follow the different routes to thread your upper thread of the machine. Mostly you go down and then up again, behind the handle at the top and then down again towards the needle. Use a pincet to thread the needle. It will make it easier. Make sure the thread always goes under the foot and comes out from the back. Now get your bobbin, check which way the thread should go and place it at the bottom of your machine. Follow the guided steps and close the part. If your threads get knotted or your machine doesn't run smoothly, check your threads and rethread them.
That's it, your complete sewing setup. Recommend you to practice the stitches a little bit, but I'm sure you get used to them pretty quickly. I will give you a brief explanation of what all the stitches do so you understand the techniques you can do with them. I'm not kidding by saying that these 3 stitches cover 90% of your sewing. A lot of sewing machines come with a lot of fancy stitches, but you will not use them as much as you think you will. First stitch is the straight stitch. You use this stitch to basically sew together all your pattern pieces. Use it for seams and hemming, and in every project you will ever do, you will use this stitch. It's pretty simple. It's just a straight stitch on your machine and it goes forward with different stitch lengths. To use this stitch, you set up your machine, the seam that you want to sew under your foot, you lower your presser foot and then you just go in a straight line. On the bottom of your machine is a runner that pulls the fabric forward. With the straight stitch, it should use the runner to go forward. You don't have to pull the fabric from the back. You guide it to make a straight stitch, but you don't pull. Practice the guiding instead of pulling. The second stitch is a back stitch and this one secures your seams. Every time you start and end with the straight stitch or any kind of stitch, make sure you go back and forth a few times to secure the stitch. It does not open up when you are wearing your piece or anything. How you use this stitch, you basically just lower your presser foot, go a few stitches forward, then push the button or the handle that makes machine go backwards. You stitch 3 stitches backwards, you loosen the button or the handle, and then the machine goes forward again, and then your stitch is secured. And that's it. Now your seam will not unravel. Third stage is a zigzag stitch. You can finish off your raw edges. You can also do that with an overlocker, but you don't need that in the beginning. You can use the zigzag stitch. Go with the zigzag stitch close to the edge so the fabric won't break. Your project also lasts longer. You also use a zigzag stitch if you use very stretchy fabrics, but once you are beginning, you will not be using fabrics that stretches as much. Use the zigzag stitch. You switch your sewing machine to a zigzag stitch. Every machine has this stitch, even the ones from very old, so I'm sure your machine has it as well. Line up the edge of the fabric with your foot and make sure that your zigzag close to the edge to secure the sides. Don't forget to go back and forth in the beginning and in the end so it won't get loose. Stitches you need for your first few sewing projects: we have the straight stitch, we have the back stitch, and we have the zigzag stitch. Make sure to practice them a few times and then get started with your first project. It's the most amazing part about sewing, but also can be the worst part about sewing when you choose the wrong fabric. So I'm here to help you through the fabric stress. Very important to choose the right fabric for your project. In a minute I will talk about which fabric are good for beginners and which to avoid, but in the basic terms, patterns are made for different types of fabrics. For example, a pattern that's made for stretchy fabric you can't make with non-stretch fabric, because when you use non-stretch fabric for a pattern that's made for stretchy fabrics, the chances are that it will not fit, because in the pattern they calculated the stretch, and if you don't have fabric that stretches, it might not come over your hips or over your head. So very important to always use the fabric that is recommended, especially in the beginning when you don't have a lot of knowledge about fabrics and patterns. I have a list of 3 fabrics to search for your first project. The first one is cotton, any type of cotton, preferably poplin, because that's really thin and your sewing machine loves working cotton. It is very crisp, you have a lot of different colors, it is very smooth, and it makes sewing very easy because there's no stretch in the fabric. The second one is a linen fabric. Linen has this really nice structure and feels really soft. It is very breathable. It also is non-stretch, so your sewing machine also loves working linen. It can be a little bit thicker than cotton, but looks really nice for certain projects. Next one is upcycled cottons. For example, bed sheets, tablecloths. Go to your thrift store and search for all different types of cotton things you can use for your first project. Also made a list of 3 fabrics you might want to avoid for your first projects. It is a jersey fabric. It is such a nice fabric, but it is so stretchy that it's really hard to handle for first timers. So I really recommend starting with non-stretch fabrics. Then silk or satin fabrics. They are very slippery and they will slide everywhere, even if you pin them. And the last one is anything furry or very hairy, because you will not see your stitch you made very easily. And if you have to undo it, it will be traumatic. Believe me, it's not nice to undo a stitch that you can almost not see. So try to avoid these 3 types of fabric for your first project. Tips on how to handle your fabrics the right way. From now on, try to use these tips and make them a habit, so you will forever be grateful for yourself by learning these habits and making it yourself easier. First one, always wash your fabric before using, because they can shrink. Because they can shrink. Most fabric shrinks, and after you make your piece and you wash it and it shrinks, then it might not fit you anymore, and that's a waste of your project. So make sure to first wash your fabric. Second tip is know the good and the bad side. For some fabric, it's very obvious which one is the good side and which one is bad side. For example, fabrics with a print, most likely they are white or black on the bottom and have the print on the top. So then you know the print is the good side. You will be facing forward in your project or pattern. But for some fabrics, it's hard to see. And actually a tip that I want to give you is then choose your own good side. So which one do you like for the outside of your project? A third tip is cut on the grain. I will show a clip of what that is. The grain is how the fabric is woven, and you want to make sure that is lying straight. For example, when you sew a pants will have a turning on the leg. So you don't want that your fabric is straight and you cut it in a straight line. Most patterns, they use an arrow to show which side the grain has to go. So arrow is pointing down, you want the grain to be straight. Fourth tip for using fabrics is to always pin before you sew. Even stable fabrics, put them in place so you make sure that everything is aligned and everything is divided evenly. So here's the complete formula for fabrics. Start with stable fabrics like cotton or linen. Avoid stretchy, slippery fabrics. Wash before you use. Put good side facing each other and you decide what the good side is. Cut on the grain and pin before you sew and you're good to go.
5 golden rules to make your project look very professional, even if you're just starting out. These are very simple to follow, so make sure you make them a habit. Your projects will look very neat. The first rule is get yourself an iron and press while you sew. So every stitch you make, every seam you sew, make sure to press them down, and this will make your projects look way cleaner and also makes the sewing very easy. 2, always pin before you sew. You can't pin too much. It makes sure that the fabric is divided evenly alongside the seams. It will be more straight and they match up correctly. Rule number 3, always use seam allowance. This usually is between 1 and 1.5 centimeters. Little space between your foot and the edge of your fabric. If you leave this space, your clothes will last longer. Number 4, after every stitch you make sure to finish it off nicely. So cut off the loose threads, finish the edges with an overlocker or a zigzag stitch and press down the seams. If you think your seam doesn't look good, don't be afraid to rip it off and try it again, because the second time you do it, it will almost every time look way better. And if you finish a seam and you're not completely satisfied with it, it will bother you for the rest of the project and also when wearing it. So don't be scared to trim it out and then stitch again. Number 5, never rush yourself. Sewing isn't about speed. You have to take your time to finish the projects. Be sure you measure twice and cut once so you don't make mistakes there, because once the fabric is cut, you can't go back. Everything is ready to be sewn and things like that. So just take your time to finish your projects and don't think, oh, let me just quickly finish this, because that almost always turns out really bad. That's it. Rules for sewing. So 1, press with your iron everything. 2, pin. 3, use seam allowance. 4, trim and make sure everything looks neat. And 5, don't rush yourself. In the next video, we will make our first project together, so all the techniques will come together and we will show you the beginning till the end of a project. So let's go to that one.